Get the cream, precious metals or the crypto things. Your bars are light like the one that's on a Smith machine. But my Maxwell and I ain't speaking about the pretty.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. So let us discuss Mickie James, the Knockouts champion of Impact Wrestling, the world champion, women's world champion of Impact, was announced for the 2022 Royal Rumble. It absolutely destroyed the internet. It broke people's brains. I know mine was tattered for several minutes. And then people got offended. Then people got mad and felt betrayed that Mickie James would go back to WWE after the trash bag incident, which of course they made fun of on Impact multiple times. Not only did Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz do a segment where there was a trash bag with Mickey's name on it, but then Deonna Purrazzo threw it in her face too, in a segment that they did on Impact. There's this strange humiliation ritual that former WWE talent have to go through, where the moment they go onto the independent scene, they have to be faced with the most embarrassing things that have ever happened to them, things that are very public and things that are very sensitive subjects. CM Punk, oh, you didn't marry the event at WrestleMania, and all that kind of stuff. And I said this about Samoa Joe, that a lot of people, and it's the only thing I'm gonna say about Samoa Joe. Everybody seems to be very excited for some MJF level dweeb to throw up in Samoa Joe's face that he was so stupid to get fired once that he went back and got fired again. That's what they want. It's a humiliation ritual. And to me, it doesn't. That's why I say mentioning WWE, usually for some people, is a very sensitive subject and they don't really want to discuss it. But then they start using WWE shit to further their storylines, and it really only humiliates the person that was involved with it. Like I said, WWE did not mention Katie. What was that? Claire Lynch with when they brought in AJ Styles. They didn't mention that shit at all. They didn't talk about it at all. They didn't even talk about old characterizations of somebody who was in their company. That would be like somebody talking about Festus to Luke Gallows while he was in the company. It's like, why discuss it? What is the point? There is no point to bring them down to that level. But this is something that really kind of made a big deal. It was announced that she was going to be in the Royal Rumble. So the humiliation ritual is over. Mickie James is now on the upswing. She is the world champion in Impact. She's a big player in NWA, along with her husband, Nick Aldis. She was the executive producer of the Empower segments. So she's doing very well. And WWE apparently asked her to be in the Royal Rumble, and she accepted. So this is what we're going to read some stuff here. Then we're going to get into people being upset. I'm going to give you my thoughts after this. So this is what Scott D'Amore said. Scott D'Amore says, WWE wanted it. Mickie wanted it, and Impact Wrestling's philosophy is always to work with other major promotions to create buzz for the fans. Everything is signed and agreed with WWE and Impact Wrestling. The only question is whether or not Mickie will enter one of the WWE's most historic annual matches as the reigning Knockouts World Champion. They would be stupid as fuck to take the title off of her, right? We all agree. I actually thought she might lose the belt. But now that I know that she's going to be in the Royal Rumble, she kind of has to retain, right? So this is what Mickie James put on her Instagram. She says, y'all talk about doors like we're doing big things. Bitch, I raise the bar and kick out the ceiling because that's what legends do. Yes, you heard right. After tomorrow, Hard to Kill, I'm taking myself, my boots, and my Impact Wrestling Knockouts World Championship all the way to WWE and the Royal Rumble. Final destination, WrestleMania. And people got offended. People were upset. They felt betrayed because they took Mickey's side in this situation with the trash bag. And now they're like, no, Mickie James has betrayed us. She's gone back for the money. Just like Zelina Vega before her. Just like everybody, they always go back, which they should know that by now. Everybody who is being a dickhead to Vince, or Vince was a dickhead too, they always go back. They always go back. Warrior went back. Piper went back. Austin went back. They always go back. The only one that never went back was Randy Savage. And guess what? He died before he could. There's no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind that Randy Savage was still, if his heart had beat just a few more years, he would have come back. No matter how bitter, no matter how angry guys claim to be when they leave, they always come back. Always. They always come back. Road Dogg and Billy Gunn, I remember when they was in TNA, they was talking so much shit about Triple H and how he was holding down Randy Orton, and they didn't want anybody else to be stars except certain people, yada, yada, yada. First chance they got, they came back. First chance they got, they came back. It is what it is. It's the nature of the business. It's just business. It's not personal. You people have to realize that, these are business people. Mickie James works in high levels in both Impact and NWA. For her, yes, it was kind of a personal disrespect about the whole trash bag incident, but they tried to make good on that. They ended up firing the guy who actually did it. Well, I think it was Mark Carano. And they had a public apology to her and other people who had it happen to. Which is another thing that people don't seem to understand, is it wasn't just her. It was some other people too who got the trash bag thing. And people say like, oh, this is disrespectful. And they were like, you know what? We agree, and we're going to change that policy. But first we're going to punish these motherfuckers who was doing it. Then we, extend the olive branch to say, hey, we will help promote your show. That's why it was, if you want to ask the question of why would they even announce it, it's because they're promoting it. Impact gets free promotion out of this. WWE is promoting the Impact Wrestling Women's World Champion on their Twitter account and on their TV show. And she was only on that show for less than 5 seconds. They showed a picture and said her name. They didn't harp on it. They didn't say, oh, Mickie James is going to be there. They just said Mickie James. Her name was on the screen the same amount of time as Lita's name. Okay? So they didn't harp on her being in it. But it was on there long enough for people to know it and for people to really understand the gravitas of this whole ordeal. But I think that ultimately, WWE did what they could to make amends. And even if Mickie doesn't says I don't forgive them for what happened, this is a great business opportunity to promote Impact. So why wouldn't she do it? She's not going to be in the match that long, I don't suspect. She's probably going to be in there probably 5 or 10 minutes, if that. And it's going to be a good look for Impact. They got a pay-per-view literally tomorrow. As I record this, it's literally tomorrow. So, and they got a huge buzz going, for both WWE and for Impact. The last thing before we start getting into the peanut gallery. Very interesting that WWE's version of the Forbidden Door starts with the women, while AEW's never got there. So, just a big old shrug. So if you're a progressive and you're one of these prog wrestling fans, ask yourself that question. Now, some people have said it's because WWE released so many women that they have to start using legends and you have to bring back people that you fired because, you don't have enough women. It's like they could have always found enough women. It's never the situation that they don't have enough. They have enough women just off of legends that they could have filled up the Royal Rumble. There's plenty of Melinas and Jazzes out there who would have done this. No problem. The issue is when you look at a lot of the women that were released, most of them were like NXT roster or they weren't doing anything. And then also I expect some of those women to come back. I really do. I've always said that, a lot of the people who were released, some of them are going to return at the Royal Rumble, and that's just Mickie James is a surprise. And of course, it's not going to be a long-term thing. She's not going to stay there. She's just going to work this match and then that's it. She's going to be gone. With the likelihood of her winning is -10. She's not going to win this match. It's just a fun thing for the fans. Don't overthink it. Like a lot of these people, like we're going to go into right now. So, somebody says on Twitter, Mickie James bashed WWE, had her possessions thrown in a garbage bag, called Nick Khan a Sopranos reject, and as soon as WWE called for a Rumble appearance, she was like, yep. She actually dissed WWE a week ago when she said that they stole her ideas and gave them to other people. I saw that article. I didn't sit down and read it, but I did see the headline that, she had ideas with Chelsea Green or something like that. And WWE took those ideas and did them for other people. So, it is what it is. Somebody says, I'm going to say, though, Mickie James got no self-respect. They sent her stuff in a trash bag and she coming back. No self-respect. No self-respect. She probably getting the bag for this. I mean, not only is she getting the bag for it, she's actually helping 2 other promotions. Got to think about it. She's not pushing her own ego here. It could be, she could fuck this up for her own ego, but there's no reason to do that. It says, whoa, wait, hold up. Mickie James, who was so upset about her belongings being in a trash bag, is back for the Rumble, huh? Company must not be so bad. I think that she did say that they apologized, and then this was the very next tweet that Vince McMahon called her on the phone to apologize. So they were kind of over this thing, She just doesn't work there anymore. I mean, shit. But I think people take this stuff so personally, then they hold grudges forever. It's like, what kind of people are you? It's like she put them on blast about the trash bag, which is foul, not good stuff that they would do to former talent. They corrected that and then apologized. What more do you want? It's like, what more are you asking for? We fired you for a reason. Sorry, we had to do that. We didn't have to humiliate you with the whole trash bag incident. There's some dignity that was damaged there. So you get a phone call from the boss himself, the actual CEO, not some pencil pusher in the office somewhere, who calls you and apologizes for that. The company put out a statement apologizing to all the old talent who said that this happened to them. And then this was almost a year ago. So it's like, and then it's just an appearance. It's not a full-time contract, whatever. So somebody else, some of you misunderstood me. The trash bag incident was a very clear message to Mickie James on how they feel about her. What makes you all think they'll treat her any differently? Well, the fact that she isn't going to have her stuff in a trash bag this time. She's taking all of her stuff there, and she's taking all of her stuff with her when she leaves. That's the first thing here. Second, it's not really a clear message considering the company consists of 300 pencil pushers, one of which was an asshole and put people's stuff in bags. Which, they put stuff in bags for different reasons. Some people have, it would be nice if they, packaged it up in a box like Amazon for you, but that's not, some people are just lazy. They don't want to do that. But I don't think that it was an attack on her personally. People keep thinking this stuff is personal. It's not. What we saw after it came out that Mickie complained about it, what we saw was that it was the policy of that department that's what they did. So it wasn't personal what happened with Mickie. So I think people need to stop doing this whole taking this shit personally. It wasn't personal. It was a bunch of other people too who said, yeah, my shit was in a trash bag too. Because that was the policy of the people who was working in that department. It wasn't fuck Mickie James, throw her shit in the trash bag. Somebody said, Mickie James better walk out with a trash bag full of weapons. Interesting. I love to be happy about Mickie James being in the Royal Rumble, but did we forget the trash bag incident? She'll probably last a few minutes. Also, she's not under contract with Impact anyway, so there's no forbidden door. She is under some kind of contract because otherwise she wouldn't be able to show up on, how is she getting paid? Is she not getting paid? She's the women's world champion. She can just say, if there's no contract, what's the guarantee she's actually going to show up to do that show? She might not be long term, but it might be some kind of contract. There's some kind of an agreement in place. I think sometimes a PPA, a pay per appearance, is still a contract. You know, you still contracted to pay somebody if they show up for a certain amount of time. Anyway, Mickie James, all-time bag getter, and worked y'all into calling for a union just to turn around and get a bigger bag. Absolutely, she ended up winning in the end. So I mean, what can you say? She ended up winning in the end. She's a world champion somewhere else. She is an executive producer at NWA, so she has political authority there, and likely has some kind of political authority and impact as well. And now WWE is going to give her some money to come do the Royal Rumble and support her Impact show. Come on. WWE didn't want to, remember when she wanted to do her hardcore country album, whatever it was, WWE didn't even want to support that. You know, and then TNA went all in on it and helped her out, which is why she, you know, has always had a space there in Impact. You know, she's a legend in two different promotions, man. Like, you know, when you at that level, you can do shit like this. Somebody else said, all the people from other companies that were fantasy booked coming to WWE, and the one they finally get is Mrs. Trashbag herself, Mickie James. Oof. People are posting pictures of trash bags, saying that, you know, a new photo of trash bags was of her money that she's going to get to do this match. Somebody said, so y'all did all that complaining and got somebody fired for them putting Mickie James stuff in a trash bag just for her to come right back. Yeah, so they always come back. Mickie James on some goat shit, rightfully called WWE out on their BS they did to her and was doing to other women for years under the radar, which resulted in a bozo getting fired. And now WWE calling her back and giving her a heavy bag. Yeah. People complaining about Mickie James being in the Rumble after her retreatment by the E. I get it. If she's getting a good payday, and I assume she has to be given how dirty they did her, then nah, she's crafty as hell getting the bag. She can't wrestle forever, so grab it. Yeah. You know, it is what it is. Mickie James got future endeavored by WWE, had her possessions thrown in a trash bag, calling it kind of Sopranos reject. The minute WWE called Mickie James for a Royal Rumble appearance, she was like, yes, she's a clown. Wow. Damn, Mickie James, they threw her ass out, put her shit in bags, and she's competing in the Royal Rumble match. Damn, girl is more forgiving than I would be. It's weird that WWE is bringing Mickie James back just for one night after the Royal Rumble, after they released her and threw her belongings in a trash bag. Didn't they send Mickie James her shit in a trash bag? And it was a big deal on here. What that money make a bitch do? Wow. Fuck you, Mickie James, and your dirty V-lick. You filthy whore. I hope Vince puts you in a trash bag and sends you to Nick Aldis when he's done with you. I think this is a parody account. WWE shipped Mickie James her stuff in garbage bags, and she still came back. These people are obsessed about this trash bag thing. It's like almost every other tweet I see is about the trash bag. It is absolutely embarrassing. Now, there are some people here who are pretty excited. Somebody said, dude, it's a job. Would you go back to a former employer for a big payday? Or are you the only person without bills? That was a good one. Lost respect for her over this. Just proves she would do anything for money. What happened to being upset about how they sent your items back to you in bin bags or releasing you because of your age? That was a good one. I forgot about the whole age thing, but I don't think that was it anyway. I think basically they just did not think that she still had anything left in her in comparison to other people. They've been trying to go younger for a little while now. Let's see what else we got here. This is very interesting. Mickie James in the Royal Rumble. That's great news, isn't it? I don't get how this being made into an AEW versus WWE thing. If Impact get a good bump from partnering with WWE, that's awesome. Impact is a good product, and it's good to see companies working together. I agree with that. The only issue here is WWE put over Impact a lot more than AEW did. That's the only thing I will say in terms of the verses. Also, I didn't notice this, and I probably should have started this at the beginning. Battle of the Belts is going to be on at the same time as Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill pay-per-view. And you can tell that partnership is over because you don't counter program your friends, you know. So, you know, they are AEW is now actively hurting Impact by running at the exact same time they're running. And maybe you could say they don't have a choice in the matter or whatever the case may be. I don't know. But they know that Impact show is at 8 o'clock. And they're running a show at 8 o'clock. I mean, it is what it is. Somebody says, hey, wrestling community, WWE Universe, pro wrestling fans, just a heads up to this WWE tweet. Mickie James was never contracted with Impact Wrestling, even though she's Impact Women's Champion. She was never as a full contracted Impact Wrestling superstar. Then why did Scott D'Amore have to okay this? Ask that question. I'm pretty sure Nick Aldis and all of them are pretty cool with this too. Very, very, very weird. Look, maybe she wasn't a long-term talent. Maybe she's not, exclusive. She could probably work wherever she wants. But she has some kind of contract with Impact. It wouldn't make any sense for her not to be. Somebody says, I hope Mickie James comes out to Hardcore Country. That would be very interesting if they did. That would be WWE doing the most if she came out to Hardcore Country. But she definitely come out to her own thing. Her WWE thing. Impact always throw to TNA footage when recapping Impact history. So it would seem they consider themselves the same company. What are we talking about here? We're talking about something different. Somebody said they mentioned TNA. They said no, they didn't. They mentioned Impact. Okay, it's the same thing, yeah. So I missed when WWE did surprise interest for the Royal Rumble. Now they announce everyone. Mickie James would have been a huge surprise. This was a huge surprise. What the fuck? Like, brother, do you not understand that people's anticipation for this increased 100%? Nobody gave a shit about the Women's Royal Rumble. And sometimes people still don't. But now that they found out that Mickie James is going to be in it, they're like, wait a minute. They're actually doing something different. So now here's another wrinkle. If they announced something like Mickie James, then what are they keeping secret? How about that? That's the one thing that keeps me excited about this whole thing. If they're willing to announce Lita and Summer Rae and the Bella Twins, and for the record, I probably should have said this earlier too. There are few women on this list that hasn't talked shit about WWE within the last 2 years. The Bella Twins, not too long ago, said that they were disinvited from some WWE event. I think it might have even been WrestleMania, or it might not have been WrestleMania. It might have been some other event. Because of Bryan Danielson going to AEW. They claimed they were disinvited. Summer Rae is the only one I know for sure that hadn't said anything negative about Vince. But didn't Lita within the last several months do a podcast or a Twitch or something like that complaining about the live sex celebration and how she felt like she was forced to do it and how she felt humiliated doing all that kind of stuff? She's coming back. There's a lot of people who talk a lot of shit. And it's okay, because Vince doesn't take this shit personally. He sees it as business. Business is business. Business is business. How you feel about him personally is a completely different thing. But they didn't announce all the surprises. They announced 19 people. There's probably going to be some NXT chicks in there. There's probably going to be some more legends that they didn't mention. Chill out. They didn't announce the whole field. Not yet, anyway. WWE gets rid of so many talented women to the point where they now filling up Royal Rumble spots, have trouble filling up Royal Rumble spots. It's like, no, they've been doing this. It's the same format forever. It's a mixture of current talent, NXT talent, and Legends talents. That's how the Royal Rumble has been for the last 3 or 4 years. What is people thinking? And just because there's, the rosters are shorter, doesn't mean that they don't have enough women to run a Royal Rumble. It's just the Royal Rumble concept is going to be the same as it always has been. I think they may have maybe 1 or 2 more legends than usual in this one, though. So let's see. Let's go back to the people talking about this thing. It says, hey, Vince McMahon, pretty cool that you booked Mickie James for the Rumble. Do us a solid and book Danhausen for the Rumble. He's a friend of Dwayne's. He's very nice, very evil, and we love that Danhausen. The Rumble should be Royalhausen. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Nobody wants to see Danhausen. Nobody knows who that guy is. He's silly as shit. So, yeah. Let's see how many more we got to do here, because I don't want to be here all day. Okay, serious question. If Impact Wrestling are sending Mickie James to WWE, then who is Vince sending in return? Christian doesn't work there anymore. They're not sending anybody. They're just promoting Impacts. They're probably going to promote their show and everything, you know. And like, you're not going to send anybody to Impact. But WWE and Impact, they work together occasionally from time to time. Like, you know, the Ric Flair Christian swap, of course, when Dixie Carter showed up on a WWE documentary, when they leased WWE some footage for documentaries. Rob Van Dam, when he was under contract to Impact, he showed up on a Raw reunion thing once. It was pretty sweet. They don't have a negative relationship between Impact and WWE. So they work together at least once every couple of years. So it's not that big of a shock. It's just a shock that they mentioned that she was the champion. Like, that was nuts to me. I was like, whoa. They actually mentioned another title. You know, and then with Pat McAfee doing it, made it seem like it was off the cuff. But then when I saw the tweet, I was like, God damn. Oh, okay. Here is the actual apology. Was from Stephanie McMahon. So I'm just, instead of reading this, hopefully I put it up on the screen, so that everybody can see it. It was a public apology, just like a public embarrassment. Okay, cool. Somebody says this only means Mickie James will lose her belt versus Deonna Purrazzo tomorrow, and then she can appear for one night only at the Rumble. And it's pathetic WWE have to recurring to this because they released a lot of stars. It's like, no, they always do this. What the fuck, man? The narrative is just real. You know, they they're using legends because they don't have any more women. It's like, well, what the hell were they doing last year and 2 years ago when they had a bunch of legends in the match? That's how the Rumble is, for Christ's sake. Let's see. You know, there is no such thing as the Forbidden Door. WWF, WWE has worked with companies in the past. TNA Impact worked with New Japan and Ring of Honor in the past. WCW worked with companies before. ECW did as well. Stop this BS with the Forbidden Door crap. Well, that's true, you know, but it is what it is. I think people get too uptight about this kind of shit. Just relax. Let me get this straight. When AEW opened the Forbidden Door with Impact, E-Drone crapped all over it. When WWE opens the Forbidden Door, E-Drones rave how cool it is, and AEW stands are underwhelmed. Embarrassing. Bryan Danielson is right. Fans are stupidly tribal and fickle. No. I think it's mostly because WWE never does this. That's the difference. AEW talking about other wrestling promotions and doing crossovers, it had buzz at first because people had started fantasy booking all these things that could possibly happen. And then none of it ever occurred because it was all about getting Kenny Omega over. WWE never really, WWE doing crossovers. We can go do a laundry list of their crossovers. They promoted the NWA, they promoted AAA, they promoted ECW. They actually promoted Ring of Honor at one point. They actually helped smaller promotions by sending them cash. That was their deal with a lot of the indie promoters that are on the network right now, like Progress and ICW and stuff like that. WWE helps them financially. They helped Evolve financially. They helped all kinds of promotions all the time. They do this shit literally all the time. It's just never on this scale. Did they say, this is a world champion from an active promotion right now that is on our show? They never do that, you know. Even when it was the NWA and they were doing it in the 90s, you know, the NWA wasn't a promotion. It was a governing body. And then they just beat the tar out of those guys. So this is fairly new ground that they are breaking here. So it's not like some forbidden door shit where she's going to be out here doing a storyline. Now, of course, you could make it a storyline that, if Impact was willing to, keep the belt on Mickie until, let's say, WrestleMania, and you wanted to do a Mickie James, Becky Lynch title for title deal, but they're not going to do that because WWE ain't about to send Becky Lynch to fucking Nashville. It ain't about to happen. You forget it. Even though I think, she probably would definitely do it just for the cool factor because Mickie and Becky, they both kind of like that. Somebody says AEW had the Impact title on TV for 6 months. The Good Brothers were on AEW TV for nearly a year and defended the tag team titles on Dynamite. Kenny Omega and Christian had an Impact title match on Rampage. Mickie probably won't even be Knockouts champ by the Rumble. Who knows? It would be stupid for them to take the belt, though. That would be really silly. Unless you say the Impact Women's Champion is going to be there, then you could put the belt on whoever you want, and that person will show up. But you promoted Mickie James and then promoted her as the champion. She got to go in as the champion. Like you've already done it. Now, probably as the last thing, as I look for more comments, and I think I'm pretty much done here. But one of the last things that I'll say is that Roxy, who was the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion, she was at WWE tryouts. And I said, if you're going to have the Impact Women's World Champion there, Roxy is only 19. She's the Ring of Honor Women's Champion. I know Ring of Honor Women's title isn't the same. It's not the same level as Impact. And I know Roxy doesn't have the name value of Mickie James. But since you're doing it, and you're going to have Charlotte in that match too. So Charlotte, the women's champion of WWE, is going to be in there. The women's champion of Impact is going to be in there. Why not put the women's champion of Ring of Honor in there too? Then the only one who's left out is Britt Baker. And she's going to be the only one that's really left out. Ola and Camille, from the NWA. But, it would be fun. Let's go ahead and make it fun. I know, nobody knows who Roxy is, but you have about 2 minutes to educate people on who she is. And maybe if she goes to NXT, it would be a pretty cool deal. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. This is fun. This is a fun thing, man. I don't know why it upset so many people, but WWE finally did something cool, and it made people unhappy as usual. A lot of people don't like Mickie James anymore. They feel like she let them down. It's so weird, but thank you guys for listening. Like this video. Share this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. I need more likes. Help your boy out, and I'll talk to you guys later.
MagMongoSlade. Best house I ever drew, daddy.